The next, I guess, introduction is from both of us, Patrick and myself. So Patrick is going to present on our behalf, mainly on at least what we think the US-EU CoR on nanomedicine is. But as Lisa mentioned, this is mainly a community-driven process. So the decision as to what factors or what collaborations that we work on depends on the community, both on the US and EU community. So with that, Patrick, yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Anil. As it has been already presented by some previous speakers, Nanomedicine CoR or Nanomed CoR is a newborn. Just a bit of history. Last year, I mean, it was at the former CLINAM meeting. We already had a meeting at that time to decide, okay, is it worth initiating, let's say, an EU-US nanomedicine CoR? So there were pros and cons. And to make Robert happy, there were people from the nanosafety community and nanomedicine community. So, and then, let's say, the output of this discussion has been sent to the US, I mean, especially to Anil. And last September, at the annual meeting of the CoRs, which took place in Birmingham, UK, then it has been decided, okay, there is a space for initiating a Nanomed CoR. Just for a private joke, but you know that I'm not familiar with preparing a Nanomed CoR under the banner Nano EHS. You know, Lisa, we discussed this with Anil already. Yeah, okay. No, it's a joke, but I mean, it's partly a joke, and we discuss this, and it is important because this is let's say, a new trend. That it is what we already discussed just a few minutes ago. That means how to exploit, let's say, the synergies between all the knowledge acquired in the nanosafety community for many years and all the knowledge acquired in a totally different settings on, let's say, the development of nanomedicines. And at the opposite, there are big differences in terms of industry, regulation, applications, but there are some, let's say, possibilities, and I will give you some examples even now. And I'm even very proud to say that, well, we have launched nearly 1 year ago a European project called Refine, where, let's say, we are trying to bridge these communities on specific aspects. I will come back later on this. So what is basically it has already presented by Lisa, the raison d'etre of community of research is to accelerate the development of nanotechnology-based innovative therapeutics and diagnostic products for the patient, for the benefit of the patients. This is basically why we are all working on every day. And how does it work, or how could it work, I would say, because Anil said already, this is a community-driven initiative. It's not a program. There are not calls for projects. There is no allocation of budget. Basically, it's like a bottom-up approach, and the CoR is giving a framework to organize meetings meetings and contacts between US and European partners. So who should be the stakeholders? I mean, everybody interested in working in that case in nanomedicine or nanomedicine-related area. Could be from academia, government, industry, NGOs, and so on. So there is no strict definition of the stakeholders. And so what would the Nanomed CoR offer is, it is a platform for scientists to share, let's say, knowledge and to share, for instance, protocols. We will give some examples, methods, and lessons learned, and so that everybody will move its research much faster for the benefit of the patient. Since there is no funding dedicated for that, we will organize, and we will take, as Lisa mentioned, the opportunity of meeting in places, let's say, in landmark, like CLINAM this year in Europe, or similar events on the US side. But we can also organize meetings, and there again, we will give you some examples of how it could work. And why? Well, why do we need to work on nanomedicine? Well, just there again a bit of history. When we started EUNCL nearly 4 years ago, and then at that time, you know, when we started this cooperation, this very successful and very pleasant cooperation with the US NCI NCL, you know, then the question was, okay, are we competing together? Why should we join forces? And basically, and Scott, and I'll show you, I need you to dedicate this to you, because you mentioned basically we have a common enemy, which is cancer, or let's say all medical applications requiring nanomedicine. Yes, but NCI was focusing on cancer for some reasons. So cancer and cardio and infection and blah, blah, blah. And so this we have to define our own rules. As you can see, you know, Lisa listed already some existing cores. Some of them are working very well. Some others have a slow speed. So it's up to us, up to you, up to us to make it work and to give it content. That's why in the coming slides and the coming presentations, you will have concrete examples of ongoing EU-US cooperation, which we consider as beneficial. And the main indicator of this successful cooperation is, let's say, just the number of meetings, the number of exchange of people. Just having, you know, for each of these presentations, you will have, let's say, twins or, let's say, couples of EU and US counterparts working on a very regular basis. What else? So there again, these are some examples because we don't want to have the Nanomed CoR being an empty shell. And so this is some ongoing examples, but we can add then many more suggestions. And this is what we will discuss during the question and answer time at the end of this session. So, for instance, then to make, again, Robert happy, we discussed with Anil about, let's say, working together on a review of hybridization between nanomedicine and nanosafety of engineered materials. And this is what we have started to do within, let's say, the REFINE project on the regulatory science framework. And this is, so we are already starting to do it at the European scale. And I think having the opportunity to work with the nanosafety core would be, let's say, a next step, let's say, to expand this interface where, let's say, nanosafety and nanomedicine people can talk together and try to maximize the synergies between the two communities. And of course, so this will be presented in 2 months, at least on the European side. Of course, we can select ongoing projects, H2020 projects, in nanomedicine, willing to cooperate with US partners. For instance, partners referred to some projects, nearly finished projects on nano for cardiovascular diseases or nano against antimicrobial resistance. So there are obvious areas for cooperation between EU and US, but it should come from the community. I mean, if nobody is expressing interest, if nobody is identifying, let's say, ways of working with US partners, it will never survive. Okay, and so I mentioned this already on nanosafety. So what are some next steps? So mentioned already by Lisa. So the Nanomedicine CoR will be presented to the US stakeholders in I don't know if it is in September or in yes, in September at an existing meeting in Portland, Oregon. And the next meeting of the all the community of research is in October. Are the dates correct? I think the EU-US core workshop, as it takes place every year, one day here, one day there. Okay, I think I'm finished. Now you will have, let's say, 2 examples of ongoing cooperation in nano characterization and in standardization, and then we'll have, let's say, like a question and answer, or like a round table where you can express your ideas, your suggestions. Thank you very much for your attention.
So we take questions after the next presentation.
Yes, I think it's better. Yeah.
Unless
there is a burning hot.
Yes. So and then we'll spend more time with questions. As you know, and Patrick mentioned the cooperation between EU and US side. In the nano area was a nanotechnology characterization lab. And I used to be at NCL until 4 years ago, and then went to the dark side to FDA. At least that's what most people think. So it was a fruitful, or it continues to be a fruitful collaboration between the Nanotechnology Characterization Lab, which is part of the National Cancer Institute. That's the reason why it focused on only cancer. But then the EU NCL has much wider mandate, not just for cancer, but any other conditions. But there is a lot of lessons learned from the NCL for 15 years of work, and so that is easy to, the transfer of knowledge would be in such a way that we make minimum number of mistakes so that you can have the products get into regulatory side much easily.